the banks of the Hosu River. Back in the United States, Democrats are just moments away tonight from taking the debate stage in Miami, where they're not demanding that we open our borders to the world and give health care to millions of foreigners. They're telling us that global warming will end the world, and the Green New Deal, giving them total control of the U.S. economy, is the only way to save it. For months, Democrats have been telling us this, working themselves into a frenzy, a lather of hysteria. They say things like this.
The biggest threat to our prosperity in this 21st century is climate change.
A crisis that could, at its worst, lead to extinction.
That climate change is real, is an existential threat to our country and the entire planet.
We are running out of runway to be able to fix this problem. We need all hands on deck.
When the planet has been in peril in the past, who came forward to save Earth from the scourge of Nazi and totalitarian regimes? We came forward.
So if you don't take global climate change seriously, you don't care about the world and the country. You don't care about people.
Nazis, human extinction! These people are buffoons. They wouldn't know science if it got in the shower with them. No human atrocity is too ludicrous to draw a comparison with. It's total hysteria. It's hilarious, actually. For some reason, though, every candidate was willing to fly to Miami on a gas-guzzling airplane for the debate, emitting carbon along the way. That's weird. So in other words, the world is ending, but it's not important enough to curtail their ambition. Justin Haskins is a research fellow at the Heartland Institute, and he joins us tonight. Justin, does this confuse you? If this is an existential threat, I love that phrase, not that I know what it means, but to humanity, if it's worse than the Nazis, why would you fly on an airplane ever if you really believe that?
Yeah, I mean, I have a better question. Why would you ever support a bunch of socialist policies? Why would you want to spend even one single penny on anything other than stopping this supposed existential threat that's going to wipe out humanity in 80 years? If we're all headed for a Mad Max post-apocalyptic hellscape universe in 80 years, shouldn't we be focusing all of our money and energy on stopping that problem? And yet they want free college tuition for everyone, canceling all student loan debt, federal jobs guarantee, universal health care, basically any socialist program they can think of. That's what they're calling for. But I'm not confused by this. It's obvious why they're doing this. They're doing this because this is all about socialism. This is not about climate change. This is not about saving the planet. This is about socialism. And any Democratic Party presidential candidate who wants to debate us on the climate science, we are more than willing to do that. We have a conference coming up, the Heartland Institute, July 25th in Washington, D.C. Any presidential candidate who wants to come and debate us on climate science, we will gladly host you. I don't think anyone's going to come,
I have a feeling they're not going to take you up in that. But here, so you follow this for a living. China is the greatest emitter of carbon, of course, in the world by far. It's the biggest polluter, too, in conventional terms. Do you ever hear Democratic candidates denounce China?
No, never. And the amazing thing about that is that even if we were to reduce our CO2 emissions down to zero, it wouldn't do anything because China and India and countries like that are emitting way more fossil fuels or carbon dioxide emissions than we are here in the United States. It's not going to make any difference over the next 10 years. The reality is that CO2 emissions, global CO2 emissions, are going to increase no matter what we do here in America. So Democrats who tell you otherwise are lying to you. They're lying to you because this, again, is not about climate change. It's not about saving the planet. It's about socialism, plain and simple.
Yeah, about increasing their power over you. Justin, good to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks.
Voters in Queens, New York last night elected a new district attorney. Her name is Tiffany Caban. She was endorsed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and funded by billionaire leftists, including George Soros. She just won the Democratic primary there, so in effect, she is the office holder, because that's the same as winning the November election. Once she is officially in office, Caban is clear about what she wants to do. She's going to decriminalize prostitution, decriminalize drug offenses and fare evasion on the New York City subway. She will end cash bail for all criminal offenses, and she'll close down New York's famous Rikers Island prison without building a replacement for it. What will that mean for New York? Howie Carr is a radio host. He's been watching this carefully, and he joins us tonight. Howie, what would happen if you did what she says she's going to do?
Well, it's chaos, obviously. I mean, Queens is a very big place. It's got more population than 15 states. Archie Bunker and Edith Bunker obviously don't live there anymore. She was elected with a tiny vote. It was only an 11% turnout in a special election. The regular Queens Democrat machine split the vote 2 or 3 different ways, and she slid in by 1,000 votes. But this is just total chaos. What's going on here, Tucker? You know, she wants to decriminalize turnstile jumping on the subways and the buses, and yet you know, across the river in Manhattan, Governor Cuomo, who backed the losing candidate, he just talked about adding 500 cops to the subways and buses in Manhattan to stop the crime and the fare jumping that's been created by the same policy in the borough of Manhattan. And you know, Soros has taken over. These are you know, kind of low profile but very powerful prosecutorial jobs here. He knocked off 2 moderate Democrats in your neck of the woods in Northern Virginia a couple of weeks ago. They've elected these people in Philadelphia, St. Louis. The Jussie Smollett disaster is pretty much due to this new district state's attorney in Cook County, Chicago. She's another you know, one of these woke prosecutors. And it's just, it's crazy. And you know, this woman, Kaban, ran on
I'm confused
of,
here.
you know, we've got to end mass incarceration. There is no mass incarceration. The jail population in New York is down 50% in the last 20 years. The prison population in the state is down 31%. You know, what are they talking about? And you know, people don't know what a crime is anymore. In Boston is the
Whatever
same way.
happened to but whatever happened to campaign finance reform? So you have one guy, some naturalized American, George Soros, who hates the United States and wants to destroy it, and he gets to choose who enforces the law in all these different cities because he's rich and the rest of us aren't as rich. Whatever. The left used to be upset about things like that, but now they're for it. They think George Soros ought to be allowed to control the country in the way he does. What changed?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you know, I tell you, I don't think these what used to be called the mainstream Democrats are paying much attention here. You know, Cuomo, the governor, was complaining today about the miserable turnout and the you know, the normal Democrats splitting the vote. It happened in Boston too, Tucker. Last year, Rachel Rollins was elected, and these candidates keep going further and further left. The DA in Boston just won a court case to keep ICE agents out of the courtrooms. Now this Kaban in Queens is talking about actually arresting ICE agents in courthouses. And there's all this confusion too.
You know exactly where this is going.
We had a guy last month, he just got out of jail, and he said he went down to a grocery store and started shoplifting because the cops picked him up, and this was in the suburbs, and he said, "You can't arrest me, shoplifting is no longer illegal in Boston." And the cop said, "Well, that's true in Boston, but you're not in Boston, you're in Norfolk County." So, you know, there's all kinds of confusion, even for the criminal community. They want to help.
Well, the criminal community, the whole thing is, we know where this is going. Howie Carr, great to see you.